Mike's looking for his drink, everybody. We're getting started here. We're live now. Yeah, we're now they can even hear you. So, all right, let me get the rundown here.
They'll never hear me. No one will ever hear me again.
Oh, I should turn on my lights.
That was okay last night. You know it was okay because I subscribed to 2 different email thing to get updates
on games.
I never do that.
Yeah,
I did for
our creators
for
was one of them.
Yeah, our creators and Dave Lang.
Oh right, Rumbleverse.
They're doing a demo today or no? They're showing gameplay today, I think.
Soon, yeah. Okay, if you were trying to ask a question in the Discord thing, it's open again. It'll be open again for like a minute or two, and then I'm shutting it off. We got like 30 questions, and that's a lot. So I think I'm gonna start cutting it off right when I'm putting the doc together each week. So it means you got to get your questions in sooner. Got to be snappy.
Yeah.
But now here's your fair warning. So get those questions in. I'll turn it off here in a second.
Or give us money.
Or give us money. Well, they already do give us money. Yeah, that's the thing.
I wasn't paying attention. How'd you mess up?
Oh, that's true. They already gave
I didn't mess it up at all. I turned it off because we have 30 questions already. So,
wow. So you're ungenerous, is what it is.
Yes, disingenerous. Wow. Yeah.
Disingenerous doesn't sound like a real word, but
it's
I guess
not.
It must be.
No, it's definitely not.
Wait, what?
Disingenuous is a word. Yeah.
Disingenuous is a word.
Yeah.
Disingenerous is not.
Oh, I thought you said disingenuous. I was confused. I'm tired. Okay.
We already got a great super chat. I like the guy's name now. The guy's name is just straight up Xbox will never be better than PlayStation.
I mean, he's got to come up with a new sentence every time.
That's just his username. His sentence is about.
I know.
He's calling you a liar.
All the other ones get.
It is incredible that we literally got Star Wars Eclipse. You knew the name of that months ago, and Alan Wake 2, which I think you said was a thing like half a year ago, if not
9 months ago. Yeah.
Yeah, and they're still gonna people be like Jeff Grubb's a liar.
Yeah, and not only that,
you even said it was Epic Games doing Alan Wake 2. Like you knew the whole thing.
And these specific things, like no avowed Kojima and Xbox, I've literally said a half dozen times now over the past couple weeks. Those things won't be there.
Dude, haters gonna hate.
Yeah.
No, we'll get to it. Don't worry, we'll read it out.
Yeah,
Jeff, the Google Doc. All right. Oh yeah. Like Nick Turbo likes sending questions last minute. Yeah. That's the reason I'm cutting it off, Nick. Exactly. Yeah. What have you done for me lately? Okay, where are we at? I got Mike's camera. I just need to make it right there, and then I think we can go over here and see what it looks like. Oh no.
Oh.
I'm gonna tweet.
I mean, you're.
Just blasting. I don't know why that's the case. I can probably just turn that off. Delete it even.
We can't hear it though.
Well, yeah.
The chat.
They can hear it now. It's probably very loud for them.
Jeff, why do you keep stealing content from Warner Brothers?
Yeah, what the fuck?
I mean, because I don't believe in copyright. I am a thief.
You gotta call me.
You would copy and paste the Matrix movie.
Yes, yeah, right. A whole 1 minute of a commercial that they showed, and like, this belongs to us.
It's literally a commercial. Like, how dare you share this commercial?
That was surprised when we realized. I was thinking,
man,
did they do
frames
this to
lost.
other people too? They must.
Yeah, I think other people like have done it enough times to know, like, just like mute it during those parts or stop showing it or something. I don't know.
What am I doing?
Rookie mistakes. Do you saw there's a guy who got 150 videos deleted, like 4 years of content.
Yeah.
An anime YouTuber.
Yeah, I don't think
reviews.
I don't think Mike's camera probably could do 60 frames per second, but we're not gonna make him worry about that. Yeah, we're not.
30 frames is cinematic.
24 frames is cinematic. 30 frames is cheap television.
Right. It's TV, yeah. 60 frames is telenovelas.
Chris, the third disembodied voice is Jesus. That's Jesus. Yeah, it's Jesus coming straight from heaven.
Well, Jeff, as a Roman Catholic, I have been irreparably offended, and I'm living forever.
Okay, Mike's camera's not next gen. I think we are good to go. Let's see here.
Okay.
I'm sure at some point I asked
about him.
I have the rundown. I have this. What was that, Christian?
I feel like at some point I asked Jeff the camera to get.
No, your camera's fine, Mike.
I don't know. Oh, wait, to tweet. That's what I was going to do.
That's what I said.
Now I need to move you up a little bit.
You need to tweet about it. I think it was fun overall. I don't know. I'm easy, please. Easy.
Hey, Game Awards were fine. They were fine. We'll talk about it.
You know, we'll get into it.
Yep.
Okay. I'm not gonna steal content.
Yeah. Stop trying to get Jeff's opinions out there for free.
Yeah,
Not
for
that
free.
people have to pay anything. Yeah, if Jeff could have just put FX 30 frames per second for his, then it would be equal. But he needs to look better than me.
Yeah, I need to look smoother.
I can't do 60 FPS on this.
I think if you turn down like your resolution, and then you could get a 60 frames per second option, like a 720. I think you can do 720 60 on that camera. I think, but you'd have to go into Razer Synapse.
Yeah, well, I don't want to do that now, for obvious reasons.
Honestly, I think the 720p option on that camera might even look a little bit better because it's not putting through as much data. But actually, the 60 frames option is bad. Don't worry about it. We're fine.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, thanks, man. Let's see here. I'm good to go. I got the rundown. I can close that. And then I just tweeted about it. There's chat. There is Mikey Minotti. All right, I think I'm good. I think I got everything. Let's do this. You ready? Actually, oh, you know what? I think I'm probably still using the wrong audio on Discord. That's what it is. That's the thing I keep thinking of.
Hey, Forte, thank you.
Hey, Forte, thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Yep.
Have a good day. Sell those pre-orders, all right, man? Okay. I think we're good. Let's do the countdown, get started. Let's try to test this music. You hear that?
Yes, sir.
All right. Here we go. 5, 4, 3. It's the internet. You're busy. Let's do this. Welcome to the GamesBeat Decides podcast, the podcast where we decide everything happening in the world of video games so you don't have to think for yourself. I'm your host, Jeff Grubb. With me is
Mike Minotti.
Today's episode, we got awards to talk about. We got big announcements that happened. We'll go over all of that. We're going to talk a little bit about 2022 if we have time. There's a lot of games to go over there. But first, I want to thank everybody for joining us. You get more from Mike and me at GamesBeat.com. If you have something to share with us, email the podcast at GamesPlusPodcast@VentureBeat.com. Thank you to Carlos Ain, who's in Sam the Rain music for on YouTube for the use of our normal theme songs. Thank you to Dale North for the use of our Indian theme song now during the holidays. If you're listening to this on the website player widget, you can subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and more. If you're watching on YouTube right now, hit that like button, please. It helps people find the show. Join the Discord. The link is in the description, discord.gg/GameMess. Thank you to our mods. And if you want to support the show, and if you want to get into the secret channels inside of the Discord, go to patreon.com/GameMess, and that'll get you access to those private channels. Mike, how are you doing?
Oh, I'm pretty good. I guess, yeah. Because we got a weekend coming up here, don't we?
Yeah, we do. You know, it was a late night last night because of the Game Awards, and so we did a lot of work yesterday. We got a lot of stuff up on the site. Kind of feels like today was going to be slow no matter what. I think we could probably just sort of do a hey, what happened last night sort of thing, and what happened this past week, and that'll take up a lot of the show. But I guess we could start there. What were your overall feelings on the Game Awards?
It's funny because like at the very end of it, like at that time, they were almost negative. And then it's like I almost had to like look back at everything that was announced, and I was like, well, that certainly seems like enough stuff, really. Yeah. And then I'm like, I liked the awards themselves. Like I thought mostly the right things won. There's always issues with them rushing through certain awards, and it seems random which awards get like stage time and not. Like, why does Best RPG get thrown out there? And it's like, I don't like, maybe there was nobody from Bandai Namco to really accept, so that's why that one got thrown like out there the way it did. I have no idea. So there is stuff like that. There were still, I think the worst decision was ending on the Matrix thing, not having kind of like the one last big thing. Like maybe Star Wars: The High Republic should have been saved for the very end there.
Yeah, Star Wars Eclipse. Yeah, that would have been good.
Excuse me. Yeah, or something or another. But yeah, I think it's weird. It's like I feel like I kind of want to not like it for some reason, and there must be something to that. But objectively, I think it was fine. How are you feeling?
I think you echoed a lot of my thoughts. Where at the end of the night, after that like long presentation, it definitely felt like it dragged, and I was over it at that point. And then I did the same thing where I looked back at the announcements, and I'm like, oh, there were several things worth getting excited about, or at least like that you consider. We were counting them last night. Elden Ring level announcements, the thing that Jeff Keighley said, and I don't think anything quite actually reached that level, but there were several big announcements. And I think the problem is just the presentation itself, like how you present these awards. It didn't it wasn't the best showcase in terms of pacing and stuff like that. I think anytime we went to the commercials, it was bad, but that's true of anything that has commercials. And then anytime we went to something that was like, here's a celebrity doing a bit, or here is a music and interlude that is sort of related to games, I guess. Like Sting is singing a song from Arcane, which is a TV show, but that TV show is based on a game. So this is okay. And it's like, actually, I'm like, I would rather you just play music from a game if you're going to do it at all. Right. But whatever. That's like, I'm getting into the specifics. But overall, the game announcements that they had were pretty big. They did make news. I guess a big part of it is we knew a lot of the stuff that was going to happen, if not just from embargoes, it was from stuff that was leaking. And the one game that we didn't know was Wonder Woman, and we didn't see much of that. Like it was like a teaser thing. So it's like, but
that's
still,
one that could have just maybe been the last thing, right? Like that's like people have been asking what is Monolith up to for years now.
Yeah.
I think that you could have maybe ended with that. I know there wasn't too much to that trailer, but even still, that would have been fine. Yeah, I guess the biggest issue is just that it was like counting the pre-show, it was over 3.5 hours long, and it felt it. It was long. And again, it's a problem because how do you make it shorter? Because we are already complaining that we're not getting enough time spent on the awards and stuff like that, right? It's
absolutely.
like I see Jeff Keighley like pulling his hair out at that criticism, but also like something's got to be done there.
Yeah,
I do think that we maybe hit a breaking point with the celebrity involvement, especially when. I feel like he'd been doing a good job of making the Game Awards feel important and like recognized. And this year was almost a step back in terms of just how many celebrities came in via satellite, right? Or not even satellite. They weren't even live. It was just they sent in recorded things. And like, I understand it, but it is also, especially with the Matrix thing, because you were closing with that, right? Like compare that again to a bit ago when they actually had the Fast and Furious people come out. And I know there's still a pandemic going on and all that stuff, but you don't end with the celebrities, you can end with something
you put them in the middle, put them in the pre-show. Like at that point, like I don't see why that Matrix thing couldn't have been in the pre-show. Like that Matrix demo, what I've looked online, I haven't played it myself, but like I've seen people go in, boot it up, stream it or whatever. It is impressive. The way it was presented at the Game Awards was not. It just was. It did not do anything for me. I don't get why that couldn't have been the thing in a pre-show. And then you close with a big game announcement. I don't get it.
I absolutely see why maybe Jeff thought it was impressive in show.
Yes.
Like, and because he's one of those people who gets very excited about that tech stuff, and he talks about it all the time. Like, wait, do you see how good next gen games are going to look? And I'm kind of like, I don't care that much. I'm sure they're going right. It's like I remember like that Unreal Engine 5 thing, like he acted like that was the second coming. He was so excited about that. But yeah, I'm sure it's really cool, but it's also a tech demo. It's fine.
Yeah.
I'm sure I'll maybe check it out at some point, and it'll be really cool. But it's not a game. And
It,
let's
the,
be honest, like, why not just make a Matrix game? Why
right.
is it
Yeah.
this
If it was a
thing?
Matrix game, that's a whole other thing. I'll say that the two other things that I really noticed is how many of these announcements, even when they were game stuff, were very much Hollywood related, movie related. Like, the Wonder Woman is basically a movie character at this point, and I don't know, like, Sonic got a game announcement because it had a movie trailer, and then there were just straight up movie trailers, and then I also noticed Epic Games was prominently featured, throughout everything, like that the ending thing with the Matrix was epic. The Donald Muster comes up to present. There were several commercials for Fortnite. Alan Wake 2.
There was what was coming to the Epic Game Store, the
right
there was one of the
Final Fantasy 7.
Yep, lots of that.
Yeah, it definitely feels like platinum level sponsorship.
Sponsor.
Yes, I think
Top
so.
sponsor.
Yeah, and that came through, and it's like, I totally understand that the Game Awards feels like the award show of the future, and that the Grammys and the Oscars and whatever, the Emmys are all going to feel more like the Game Awards going forward, where they need to feel like an event, where the commercials are things people actually do tune in for because they want to see what's coming next with movies or whatever. It's just, I don't like that it's so transparent that it's about the sponsor. But again, that's almost a light criticism because I understand what this whole thing is. It is a money-making endeavor. It seems like it made money, and good for him on that front. But just as someone trying to view it and enjoy it, it felt that's one of the many reasons it fell a little flat for me. But
I guess the other thing for me is that, like, none of my darlings happened to really be there, right? Like, so we didn't get Final Fantasy 16, we didn't get Silksong. Nintendo didn't show anything, which was surprising. Like, we figured that they would do something, if not just if for no other reason than to kind of keep up the relationship.
Yeah,
but like they had nothing there. That was a little surprising.
I mean, they did have an ad for their stuff coming up, right?
Yeah, but you know what I mean, like an announcement.
I agree.
They're not even a new trailer, right? So
I think
weird. Also, I think my other takeaway here is that Doug Bowser may be a nice guy. He does not have much charisma, right?
Yeah.
He came up there, he accepted the Metroid Dread Award for Best Action Adventure Game. He's like, Metroid Dread is a game that has action and has adventure.
He was doing his book report on it.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. It's like
the main export of Metroid Dread is action and adventure. Yeah. Yeah, so I totally get that. You're right, and it's like I think he probably normally wouldn't be center stage. Like, I think he's okay with letting other people do it, but he was in a situation where he had to go up there.
To be.
Yeah,
and I understand, like, Reggie does have charisma, and it always it's always that bad. Like Disney's having the same thing right now, right, where they had Bob Iger who had this charisma. Now you have Chapek who has zero charisma, and it's off-putting. It's kind of weird.
I think when I was on Nate the Hate's show earlier this week doing our predictions for this show, I got to a point with Nintendo where it was like, I actually bet they might not have anything. That's what we should go in expecting, and then we'll just be surprised if there is something. I think at most I was like maybe a Kirby release date, and so when I saw that commercial, I was like half looking up like, oh, Kirby, are they going to do it here? But when they had nothing,
this is a commercial.
Yeah, yes, you had to tell me. Yeah, I'm not too surprised. I think I guess what's more surprising is that, among the big three, there wasn't a ton from all of them. Like, Hellblade 2 was big, but PlayStation didn't really have much to say, and Nintendo didn't have much to say. And beyond Hellblade 2, like, other people were saying stuff like Fable's going to show up here, and of course that didn't.
Fable avowed,
yeah, and like they didn't even like show off like Stalker 2, a game that's a partner game that's going to be console exclusive to Xbox next year, early next year. Like that's not even here, even though they've been teasing that game recently. So I don't know. It still had a lot of stuff. Some of the games were surprising, and I guess we can get into that now. I guess real quick with the awards, any awards you want to speak? I have them all listed here. Thanks to Knuble for doing that. Anything you want to mention there before we go on to the actual announcements?
Yeah, I actually thought like most of the right things, or at least reasonable things, won the awards. I had no issues with it. Like Game of the Year, I was personally pulling for Metroid Dread, but It Takes Two is kind of a cool pick there. I'm completely happy with that. I mean, that's another game I gave 5 out of 5 back when I reviewed it. So it's cool that other people also seemed to dig that one. It is also kind of neat to see, like, it's not an indie game really because EA's publishing it, but it's a small studio game. It's almost maybe something like a AA. And I don't know. I also like kept thinking about Activision Blizzard and how like their whole thing is like just really being insular with the big AAA things. And I don't know how they and other people can't look at EA with that that EA Originals label,
Yeah.
which gets them a Game of the Year award from the Game Awards, which has a ton of value for them, and it also gives them money making hits like Knockout City sometimes. So that's why it's just like makes it more baffling to me when Activision Blizzard is like, let's take Toys for Bob's and just make them a Call of Duty support studio.
Yep, it definitely, it seems like I think you're onto something there. Where I think the gaming industry is like coming back around. At least like people who play games and assess games and talk about games are opening up to the idea that we want something more than just Call of Duty every year, and we want to like award that. We want to like reward these companies that actually make those efforts. So I don't know, maybe something else will happen there. Maybe EA will expand those efforts going forward.
Now, Nick Turbo's saying that I gave It Takes Two a 4 out of 5. Did I? I thought I gave that a 5 out of 5. Now I'm looking.
Yeah, go ahead and look. I think you didn't like the book so much you docked it an entire point.
No, it's right here. It's a 5 out of 5. Shut up, Nick Turbo.
Wow, Nick Turbo is just
you don't even know. He's like doubling down on it. You don't even know what you're talking about. I just looked at it. What are you thinking of? Don't scare me like that.
He's thinking of Forza Horizon 5, which you gave.
I did get Forza 4 out of 5. Yeah. That's for sure. But yeah, not It Takes Two. It Takes Two. I absolutely love. Oh, so what about Jeff Keighley's kind of little? We were condemning bad workplace things without saying Bobby Kotick or saying Activision Blizzard. What do we think about that?
I mean, it was like the bare minimum he could have done. I guess he did something. I don't know. The story is continuing. Like the stories today, like the first thing we woke up this morning, and we'll talk about in the news a little bit. It's about the Activision trying to union bust and stuff. So the story's continuing without much help from Jeff Keighley. So whatever. But it would have been nice if he had been a little bit more specific and a little bit more had a little bit more condemnation in his voice when he was doing this stuff. But at a certain point, he said something. Whatever. He put up a hotline. I don't know.
It's so easy for him to take that out too, because there were some people who were doing the what about, like, well, what about Ubisoft, right?
Yep.
And that's why it always frustrates me. It's like, look, this is the moment here where we can very specifically at least do something for one of these big studios, right? But no, it had to be turned into this kind of wet blanket, broad blanket statement, which won't do anything in the end. And again, of course, there's other problem studios. I mean, one of the studios is Quantic Dream, which had a giant opportunity to showcase its new Star Wars game at the Game Awards, right? So, like, how much does he really care? It's hard to say.
Yep. So yeah, I think of the award, Halo Infinite won the Player's Voice Award. That's not too surprising. But Halo Infinite got some recognition at this thing. That's nice to see. I think Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy winning Best Narrative was surprising, but nice. I think that's probably deserved.
I mean, I heard that from a lot of people. They really like that game's story. I plan to play through it next week when I have some time, or like a couple weeks. I have some time off. But I know my brothers were really excited about that one. I think the one I liked the least was Deathloop winning Best Art Direction, and I get it, but that's one I really think if Ratchet Click should have won an award. And no, this isn't another opportunity for you to tell me about how you don't like Ratchet and Clank and say ridiculous things like, it was just another Ratchet and Clank game. If Ratchet and Clank games are bad, but like that, even Psychonauts 2 could have maybe gotten its like one award out of that one, but especially Deathloop also got Best Game Direction, which is like. That so not quite understand what that award means. Like it always trips people up. I know at that point you thought it was going to win Game of the Year, and it's like maybe, I don't know. I thought Metroid Dread was going to win Game. They're like, well, Metroid Dread won Best Action Adventure Game. I don't know what's going on anymore. So sure, the best award of the night was definitely Final Fantasy 14 winning Best Ongoing Game.
yes, it was.
Of course, it deserved, but I was still terrified it somehow wouldn't win it.
Yeah, and the reaction there was very good at your house. I put up a clip of that. Absolutely. I told you there was no chance it was ever going to lose that category. There was no chance. It was definitely going to win. I got people in chat asking about the absence of Avowed. I just want to repeat again that when I said that weeks ago, that was just speculation when people were asking what I thought might be there. I never said it was definitely going to be there. And since then, I have said repeatedly it won't be there. And if you watch these shows, if you watch Grubb Snacks, if you watch GamesBeat Decides, that has been my position on that for the last 2 weeks at least, and definitely in this last week as people have kept asking about that. And I put up a tweet saying exactly that so people could just see it. But Avowed wasn't there, wasn't going to be there, it was never planned to be there. And I said also that seems like the plan right now is for E3 for that game to show up. So don't be too surprised that it wasn't there.
And to be clear, Jeff had the name for Star Wars Eclipse like a couple months ago. He had the whole Alan Wake 2 thing specifically with Epic Games being the company throwing the money at it like 9 months ago. So yeah. Like the whole.
If you want, clip that and go put that out there.
Was right.
Yeah, go put all that up there. What I just said and then what Mike just said. Clip that and put that out there instead of weird little tidbits where I'm like, people ask me a question and then that turns into the fact that Jeff Grubb said. The internet doesn't get me, Mike. That's my big issue.
No. Well, who does? You're confusing, and strange, and scary.
Weirdo. That's definitely right. All right. So I got the whole list of announcements. Again, thank you to Canoodle for doing that in the Discord. We do not have to go through all of them, Mike. Is there anything that stands out to you immediately that you want to talk about?
Persona 4 Arena Ultimax is coming to Switch and PC and PlayStation 4. So it's like this was like the big announcement of the pre-show, and at first I was like, oh man. And once again, they always do this. They announce a smaller Persona thing. Like the time they announced Joker I'm like, wow, now they're gonna announce Persona 4 coming to Switch. And they didn't. But come on, this must be leading to that maybe. Like, we must be getting there.
Why do you keep doing this to yourself?
I mean, well, why not? Why would you port the fighting game to Switch, but not Persona 4?
Because that's what happened. That happened repeatedly, right? All the other, like, Persona games came to Nintendo stuff, right? And then they never put Persona 4 on there, 3 on there, 5 on there. This is what they do.
I wonder why this one is even also not coming to Xbox. That's a little strange. I wonder if there really is just some.
I think they don't put it to Xbox until they get the check from Xbox to put it on Game Pass. I think that's what a lot of these companies are just doing now.
Yeah, I mean, I am excited for it. We got that Hellblade 2 gameplay. It was weird because I was like, wow, this looks great. It also doesn't. I have no idea if this is fun to play. And in fact, it looks like I'm playing very little in what they're showing here. It was very cinematic. Like even like the Uncharted trailers, which are always cinematic, there's a lot of gameplay. And when I say gameplay, I don't mean in-game footage. I mean like a person moving a character around and interacting with his world, right?
Right. Yeah, like moving a block or something. And here it was it was
shooting a gun even or whatever.
It was difficult to tell exactly what's happening. I mean, I suppose like aiming and throwing the spear, did she do that at all? I think she did that a couple times.
It didn't even look like she really is. She just kind of turned around and chucked it. Like, it didn't seem like I'm sure in the game that'll be more gamey, absolutely. But I don't know.
Chat makes a good point that's a lot like the first game, where it was very cinematic and it wasn't like a lot of gameplay.
It wasn't. You're right. I guess maybe that's one reason why me and you weren't like giant fans of it compared to some people.
That's right. Yeah.
That might just be a thing there. Speaking of games that are usually more cinematic than gameplay, what did you think of the Quantic Dream Star Wars Eclipse thing? I mean, it was a nice trailer. It's too bad it's a Quantic Dream game.
Yeah, that's exactly my position where I really liked that first Star Wars The High Republic book. I read it I listened to it on Audible while doing my walks each day. And it was fantastic. It was a really good story that set up a really awesome part of that universe with no Sith in sight. So it's like at least the enemy here is different and interesting, and they could do a lot with that in the game. I just David Cage has always rubbed me the wrong way. I think he's pretentious, but also really undeservedly pretentious. Like he just has not earned it. And he just seems like someone who doesn't even understand the things he's writing himself. Like I'll never get over him saying that the difference between Detroit Become Human and all of the other android stories that came before is in Detroit Become Human, you're supposed to sympathize with the androids, as if that was not the entire point of Blade Runner. Like he was specifically talking about Blade Runner when he said that.
As if that wasn't the entire point of making robots look more human in fiction, that people would be more empathetic towards them. Since forever.
Just like my brain has exploded since I heard that, and it has never recovered. And so now we got him I don't expect something nuanced or to push the story of Star Wars forward, but I don't expect that from the people telling any Star Wars stories anymore since we're not getting the Rian Johnson trilogy. So, whatever.
You had to say the words Rian Johnson.
Yeah, my boy. Look, I thought that trailer was really good. I think that if I hope it does well so that they keep making High Republic games is kind of where I'm at. I expect myself not to be blown away by whatever Quantic Dream ends up releasing, even if it's action adventure, not one of their specific style of games that they've released before. I wouldn't expect it to be some great action adventure game, but I hope we get more stuff in the High Republic.
You were saying there were a lot of people saying that we were going to get Jedi Knight Jedi Fallen Order 2 here, and you were like wavering on it, and you ultimately decided it wasn't going to be there, which was the right call.
Yes.
Like, what happens to all those people who were talking to you and saying it was going to be there? Do you like talk to them later? You're like, hey, what happened there? You're like, wow, you guys were wrong, you stupid assholes. Like, what's that like?
I haven't done that yet. I will. I think I will do like a post-mortem. Like, so what do you think happened there? Like, what do you think you heard about? Do you think it was the Quantic Dream game? The reason I don't think that's the case is because people knew the name of they know the name of the Jedi Fallen Order sequel, and so it's like that's why it was so confusing. I'm like, well, they have these details, but then they think that's going to happen. So it's like, what's happening here? And I don't want to go too much deeper into it because it's like we start getting the stuff that I can't talk about yet with this stuff. But yeah, I do want to know like my hunch is that this might have been deliberate disinformation to try to suss out some stuff. So because I've like covered the wide spectrum of possibilities here, and I went with it's not going to be there. I don't think they could find out through me, but I know that they're worried about like who does like Tom Henderson know and who like where are all these leaks coming from, and right now they're not too worried about me specifically, so I think they're trying to flush out some of these other sources. Yeah, so but I don't know for sure. That's just speculation.
Interesting.
But I guess whatever.
Scary.
Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order 2, everybody, we'll see that early next year, like I've been saying for months, and I should have just stuck with that and never even brought up the possibility of it being here. But yeah.
Was that Jake Gyllenhaal in the Alan Wake 2 reveal trailer, or was I crazy? Or Jared Leto, or what? They both look alike to me. Was that?
It was a white guy. It was definitely a white guy.
Definitely a white guy.
I to me it looked like Bradley Cooper, Mike. So I'm not like one to judge.
Bradley Cooper, man. I mean,
Bradley Cooper with a beard.
Somebody, because why else would it be like a big live action person doing it for some reason?
Yeah. I don't know. It definitely like I don't know. This is Remedy, right?
It's just the Alan Wake actor is what people are saying. I guess I'm just crazy. All white people look the same to me.
Yeah, man, you're so racist.
I mean, you're right. This is Remedy. They made that one game with like the weird like TV show thing.
Yes, with that live actors that were Iceman, Quantum Break.
The one, yeah, their least consequential game recently, right?
Yeah. Some people really defend that game. I was playing it like right after Uncharted 4. I was like, guys, got to learn from Uncharted. At this point, I'm not digging it. But yeah, all right. Some of these other announcements worth talking about. I guess Monolith making a Wonder Woman game and using the Nemesis system makes a lot of sense, right?
Yeah, that should be cool. Like we haven't. Oh gosh, when have we? I feel like we probably haven't gotten a Wonder Woman game since like the 16-bit era, right? I can't remember the last time somebody tried to do something exciting with that character. So, in a sea of Batman stuff and Batman and Jason stuff, this is going to be pretty exciting. I think I'm looking forward to it.
Yep. Let's see. Yeah, you mentioned Hellblade 2. We talked about that a little bit.
The new Forza, the new Horizon Forbidden West trailer looks good.
That looks fantastic. I mean, but it's continued to look as good as it has looked, and it's like at this point, it's like I'm ready to just play that game. I didn't feel bad about not really paying attention to it because I'm like, oh, I'm gonna play it when it comes out.
Let's talk about Slitterhead, which was the hilarious game that had the word Silent Hill in it in the intro, and then it kind of looked Silent Hill-y, and then just turned into this obnoxious action game with a bad guitar riff.
Yeah, and it was incredible because they like bolded the word Silent Hill and stuff. It's like they know what they're doing. And so it's incredible that Silent Hill quotation mark appeared at the Game Awards. Everybody, it was here. That's so silly. PUBG is going free to play. Cuphead: The Delicious Last Course got a release date, huh?
Yeah, that's cool. That's another one. People were like, hey, what's up with this? And yes, again, Microsoft was clearly much more involved this time than Sony or Nintendo were, because they brought Cuphead also. So yeah, that's good to know. That looks really cool. Basically, just looks like almost a Cuphead 2 thing, but probably just a little bit smaller than that, but good enough.
Yeah, absolutely.
Excuse me.
No worries. Forspoken, May 24th. I think they. Yeah,
sorry,
go ahead. I was just gonna say before they said Q1 for that, so a minor delay if you want to call it that, even.
Yeah.
But got a real date now.
I'm excited for this to come out just because I feel like they're holding off on Final Fantasy 14 or 16 promotion until this game comes out. Like I think it's gonna be a good game, but also
yeah,
I forgot they showed Suicide Squad footage. It looked fine. I don't know.
Yeah, I would say that I am still sort of cool on. I mean, I said last night during our stream, and we broadcast this live, and I fixed the problem with the WB saying I stole content from them. So it's up live if you want to watch our reaction to it. For some reason, the whole 3.5 hours now. But I said last night I've fallen out of love with Rocksteady's style, and I think a lot of it is I don't know. They go for like, I think they're trying to be edgy, and this game feels kind of like edgelordy a little bit. And I guess it's Suicide Squad, so that makes sense because these are like professional edgelord characters. But it's just not vibing with me, even though I think it did look pretty fun. And I bet if you play with your friends and you have any affinity for DC, you're probably going to end up really enjoying it. But I'm just not loving what I'm seeing.
Sure. Yeah. Exactly. It's funny. So it's not even on here, which like again kind of reinforces the thing we were talking about earlier, where GamesBeat might be more excited for this than a lot of people.
Yeah.
But that Star Trek Resurgence game is pretty interesting. This is now part of the problem with the presentation here is that it looked so much like a Telltale game, and they said it is from ex Telltale people.
Right.
It's not a Telltale game. It's from Dramatic Labs, which again, it's made from ex people, but also kind of a Telltale game, right? Like Telltale is almost a genre now, right? When people say that. But this is a franchise I've been saying for a long time. Like, if you're going to make a Telltale game out of something, it should be Star Trek. And I always specifically wanted it to be more in that next gen Deep Space Nine era. And now we're getting that. So, I'm pretty excited for it. Again, as somebody who doesn't even really like Telltale style games that much, that, down to the gameplay and the aesthetics and everything else. But that does make a lot of sense for Star Trek. So I'm going to be interested in that. And then actual Telltale is doing an Expanse game. And I'm certainly more interested
actual Telltale, the reanimated corpse of Telltale. Yes.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. So, I mean, it's actually as much the actual Telltale as this, this other studio is now.
Yeah. I'm with you there on that Star Trek game. I know. I think a lot of people dismissed it immediately. I think they're like, we don't know what this is, and I think you and I are just and Rachel were all imagining like it's gonna have like Telltale style choices with maybe a little bit more action, and that's fantastic. And I think as long as it has a lot of cool options for dialogue when I'm speaking to anything I come across in space, it's gonna feel a lot like the next generation Deep Space Nine, and that's an ideal fit for both of those formats.
Yeah, I just hope it doesn't get too Forrest Gumpy with like running into the characters we know.
Oh yeah,
from
of course,
right?
Right? Yeah,
we already saw Spock in there, and all right, that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't want it to like, every second like, wow, look, it's Morn from the bar at Cork's. As I say that, I would probably get excited about that.
I'm surprised Forrest Gumpy isn't used more often to describe what you're talking about there. But that's a good terminology for what I would be worried about with that as well.
Yeah. Jeff, Sonic Frontiers. We finally saw that new Sonic game, which at one point was called Sonic Rangers, and they pulled the name, and now we know why, because they want to call it Sonic Frontiers instead. This is the open world Sonic game, or open zone Sonic game is what the marketing says, which makes me feel like either they're trying to be too cute, or it's going to be like connected smaller open worlds and not like one big one like Breath of the Wild. But speaking of Breath of the Wild, this game, at least aesthetically, in the whole we're taking a franchise in the open world thing, I mean, it is like grassy plains and ruins everywhere. It is very Breath of the Wild looking.
Yes. I mean, they did the same camera angle that you got from the Breath of the Wild trailer, like one of the early Breath of the Wild trailers, the one that Pokemon Legends Arceus did as well. And now this game has done it as well in its trailer, which is like, look at Sonic stand on the edge of a plane and like see a whole world in front of him. And I mean, it gets the point across. Like, sure. I understand, but also just looking at that world, you're right. It looks like it could be Hyrule. It looks like it could just be another version of Hyrule. So, I don't know. For me, I like you. I think you're a little bit hotter on this than I am, but I'm not sure exactly if you're like, this is what you're excited about.
Well,
I think it could work. I just think it's also jumping the shark is how I would describe it, where we're getting so much stuff that's like Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, shark a long time ago. Sorry,
yes.
I didn't mean to.
No, that was going to be my point there. That Sonic is already long past that point, so why not just go for it? What the hell?
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, was there tinkling piano in the background of the trailer too, Chris? That's funny. Look, so they need to do something with Sonic anyway, so sure, it may as well be this. Let's give it a try. My biggest reservations really is that this is ultimately the same team that's been doing like Sonic Forces and Sonic and the Lost World and all the other like mediocre Sonic games. And every once in a while, they make one that is like, Sonic Generation is actually pretty good, or Sonic Colors, that was fine. But they haven't made something fantastic ever, right? Like,
Yeah.
so I mean, like, I somewhat hold a candle for like Sonic Adventure 2, but it's like a game with a ton of problems still. Same thing with Sonic Generations. I think people are actually kinder to Sonic Generations than it deserves sometimes. I do like Sonic Generations, but I still it wouldn't come anywhere close to Sonic Mania for me. Like, I would be much more excited for just Sonic Mania 2, which at this point I'm just assuming is something that's not going to happen for whatever reason. But I mean, and there are also like a lot of logistical problems. Well, how the hell does Sonic work in 3D? Because their solution to 3D for a long time is to make it very linear and very corridory. So to suddenly just flip that and go the complete opposite way, it could be an absolute disaster with that team. It could be a complete jumbled mess. But at least that's exciting with Sonic, right? When Sonic misses, he misses so spectacularly that it's legendary, like Sonic 06, right?
Uh-huh.
So I'll tell you what, I'm gonna be very interested in this one, one way or the the
Yeah.
I'll be most disappointed if it's mid. If it's like very middling,
That's
somehow
true.
that'll be a big ass bummer.
Yep. I think that I'll get over it because most, like, of course, a lot of games are taking inspiration from Breath of the Wild, and
Sure.
and really, like, I think people should just accept that that is obvious and it's going to keep happening. And when we have to keep making that description, it's because developers are looking to Zelda as a template for what works. Zelda was one way for a long time. It tried something new. It worked for Zelda. So why can't it work for our game? And it makes a lot of sense. A lot of these companies are desperate to do something that is pushing their thing forward while also looking to something that has succeeded in the past to justify it to the people who pay the bills at their companies. And Breath of the Wild is a really good case for that. And so, yeah, we're just going to keep seeing. I think we're going to see it with Splinter Cell. We'll talk about that in a bit.
I was freaking out when getting ready for this because they gave me like a press release and they showed me some screenshots. Even from that, I was like, this is very Breath of the Wild-y. And then I remembered how when you compared Halo Infinite Breath of the Wild, a lot of people got mad and freaked out. And then, like, surprise, turns out that game has a lot of obvious Breath of the Wild inspirations. And also the people who made Halo Infinite said they were inspired by Breath of the Wild.
It was the whole pitch. It was the whole pitch for the game.
Yeah. So, like, I don't know why. I don't know. It's just like a new thing that the haters, if you will, are globbing onto. They're getting mad when we say that the most influential game of the last 5 years influenced another game.
Yeah.
Like, get over it.
Oh, well. All right. Anything? Arc Raiders was the big surprise for me, actually. That I was like, I would happily play that right now. That looks like a lot of fun. We would, load it up. I think it's probably going to be free to play. Put up an invite in our Discord, get whoever's going to come play with us, and have a good night. It looks fantastic, actually, in terms of like visuals and style. What do you think?
Yeah, much as I'm liking Halo Infinite's multiplayer so much, just because I was desperate for a new kind of, team versus team multiplayer shooter to play with my friends. It's been a while since I've really sunk my teeth into a looter shooter, since I really was into Destiny 2 back when it launched. So the idea of one of those coming out and being good, and this one looks promising, I'm pretty excited.
Yeah, I'll be checking out. I think they only said that you can like sign up. You can sign up to like get information about it, and then it says gameplay trailer, and yeah, it's coming out in 2022, so we'll be able to play it in 2022 finally. Cool.
I forgot that they showed a Crossfire X trailer, but that did happen.
Yeah, they did. And there will be more on that game soon. That's kind of where I think it's coming out February 10th. So obviously there will be more on that soon, and I'll be able to talk about more of it soon. Among Us VR, Forspoken.
There's a new Outer Ring trailer. You got very excited that the bucket came out.
Yeah, the pot boy. Yeah,
Pot boy.
The pot friend.
Bucket, excuse me.
The bucket, man, you casual.
Wow.
And then Matrix Awakens, which, I don't know. Are you going to try it, Mike?
I mean, I don't. I'd almost rather just watch a video of it from somebody with like the best computer possible than trying it on mine.
Yeah, if I could get it on my PC, I might do it. I'm not going to go install it on like the limited space of my console. That'd be silly. But yeah, I'll load it up on Steam if it's on Steam or wherever it is. It's probably on Epic Game Store, isn't it? That's probably
maybe I will just do it on my Xbox. That sounds easier. We'll see. I'll figure it out. But yeah, look. If I was talking trash about it, I guess I should like give it a shot.
All right. That is, that was the Game Awards. Anything else that we should bring up, Mike?
No, I think that's a cap on the Game Awards. We can talk about some of this other news from the week here before we get into all the questions. Yeah, so
let's talk about what's happening with Activision Blizzard this morning. So earlier this week, Raven, one of the studios that works on Call of Duty, because all of them do, it laid off more than a dozen QA testers, and this was after they said that they would hire on QA testers full time and give them benefits and a higher salary and all this stuff. And so in response to that, some workers at Raven did a walkout, and there's been a wider walkout at Activision Blizzard King in response to this. And also this is amplified calls for unionization. Now, in response to that, this morning a letter came out from an ABK executive who basically put out a veiled threat trying to union bust, and the key sentence there was, consider the consequences of signing your union card, or something to that effect. Sure. And he was saying, like, he explained what he meant by saying, like, oh, if you do that, then you're going to have to abide by the negotiations of this group rather than the individual instead of your individual desires with Activision. And so but really it's still anything like along the lines of, consider the consequences, coming from someone high up in a company trying to warn you off from signing up with a union. That's just classic union busting, although it also didn't come across very effective. Like, this is probably not going to work for them. They seem incompetent in a lot of ways, Mike. I don't know.
They seem scared. They see,
yes.
right? I tell you what, like, this more than anything makes me feel like a union might actually be happening, right? The fact that they felt like they had to send this letter. Oh, real quick, apparently that Matrix demo isn't even actually on PC. It's only on consoles, so I didn't know that.
Okay, fair enough.
But So yeah, it's I think we were worried about this all kind of going away, but the employees at Activision Blizzard now are kind of making sure that it doesn't, which is nice to see.
Yes. And so yeah, I think that's where I stand. Like, yeah, they are keeping this in the head. Like, the story this morning is not Wonder Woman or anything like that from last night. It is what's still happening with Activision. And so I applaud everyone at Activision and Blizzard and King who have been able to keep this in the news. That's really well done. It's kind of like, we can keep covering the story over and over, but it is called news. We need something new to cover. And it's like, yeah, by doing that, they are really helping keeping it in the headlines. All right. So kind of along the same lines, but slightly different, I would say. PlayStation executive fired after an amateur vigilante group caught him attempting to meet a 15-year-old boy. So he was going to try to, I don't know, show him pornography and probably touch penises, basically. And as soon as Sony found out about this, they fired him. This is
probably pretty easy decision there.
Pretty easy decision, right? It's like, oh, that is criminal activity at that point, where it's like a lot of stuff we talked about with Activision Blizzard King. Sometimes it is criminal. A lot of times it's civil, where it's like a violation of people's civil liberties, and that makes it a little bit easier for these companies to be smudgy about it. Going to meet an underage, person for any sort of sexual thing is going to be an obvious criminal violation, and it makes it very easy to move on. And it's like, you kind of wish they would treat everything with that similar sort of black and whiteness, where it's like, if you are going to be that way towards another human, you should just get out of here. But in that case, very easy. Earlier this week, actually it was last week, Xbox trademarked Halo the Endless. And this is a video game related trademark. It has nothing to do with the TV show, which we saw a trailer for last night. And my guess here is that this is related to the first probably big content drop for Halo Infinite, but that's just a guess. And that's based on the fact that the Endless are mentioned in the story as like a new thing a couple of times.
Right.
That's early on. There's, where that goes later in the story, you can find out for yourself whether it goes anywhere. But I have, my reasons to speculate that would be like the thing that's going to happen next in the story, and probably be a part of an expansion for the single player campaign, and then maybe even new content for the multiplayer, but definitely for the single player campaign. I think that's probably right. When do you think we get like the first big thing for Halo Infinite? Do you think they get that out pretty quickly, or is it going to be like a year from now?
I don't think it's gonna be too quickly, because co-op's not even coming till May,
right? May, right?
So I don't think we're getting like any single player add-ons before that.
I think you're right. Banjo-Kazooie is coming to Nintendo Switch Online in January, so they confirmed the next singular game coming to Nintendo Switch Online next month after Paper Mario this month.
Mike, came out today, actually.
It's out. Yes, out today. Mike, I think they're doing one game at a time.
I think they're doing one game at a time, and it's beginning to seem like they might be done with NES and SNES games, at least for a bit here.
Yes, it's weird. Hey, Banjo-Kazooie is a really good game. I still love that game. That's fantastic, but I don't know, something about, that's this, one game at a time rollout just feels bad.
Yes, it
does. Whatever. But they're making a lot of money in collaboration with the Pokemon Company, with Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shiny Pearl, which sold more than 6 million copies in its first week, according to a Japanese news report. That's like a pretty good level for any game. And it's still good for a Pokemon game, even when it's one of these remakes, which tend to sell at a slightly slower level than the new games.
Right, and this remake specifically seemed to have less enthusiasm around it than the other ones, but even still, it's like gonna sell a bunch. So, yep.
Final Fantasy XIV hit 90,000 concurrent players on Steam, which is a new high for that game. Mike, were you a part of that?
Yeah, well, I think me and most of them were in the queue most of the time there. Now, but yes, we did have the game open on Steam.
You did have it open on Steam. I was going to ask, do you play it through like the
Actually,
outer?
I don't personally. No.
Okay.
So you don't need. So there are a lot of people playing on a PC who aren't using Steam. Also.
Exactly. So yeah,
that's not like all the concurrent people, and then there's people playing it on console.
Yeah.
So who knows how many concurrent people were actually playing and Final Fantasy 14, which was absolutely having its biggest days ever.
Yes.
During the launch of this expansion here.
The next fighter for Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl was revealed. It is going to be Garfield, who I understand hates Mondays, Mike.
Perfect choice. Absolutely. I got nothing bad to say about this. Fantastic.
The only shame here is that Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl does not have voice acting, so we get no Chris Pratt. Just no Chris Pratt at all.
What's weird about this for me is like at first it's like Garfield, like, oh yeah, there is that like computer animated Garfield show that's been on Nickelodeon forever,
right?
For like a while there, but like not, we did not watch that.
No,
it's not. Yeah, Garfield does have
not my Garfield.
Right. It's the same reason why first I blinked. I was like, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles are a Nickelodeon thing. I'm like, oh, they are absolutely a Nickelodeon thing now. Okay, I didn't know that. Garfield is too, apparently. All right.
I teased it earlier. Let's talk a little bit about Splinter Cell. Tom Henderson said that he expected to be more stealth than Assassin's Creed, and it will feature a Halo Infinite-like open world. I would modify that to say very much a Metal Gear Solid 5 open world.
I was literally just about to say, well, wouldn't an open world stealth game be more like Metal Gear Solid 5? So I'm glad that you said that. I would be super into that. Yeah.
I think it's a perfect fit. I know that there is open world fatigue, but if we're going to get another Splinter Cell, Ubisoft has to make it fit in their business model of what works for them right now. And honestly, I mean, if you just give Splinter Cell, you give what's his name, the character's name, I can't even remember it now. If you give him his tool set and let him go wild, Sam Fisher, yeah. If you let him go wild in an open world and just kind of, give him even more tools than he's ever had before, so you can get do really interesting things, create a physics system. And a dynamic lighting system as well. So there's like a well-lit little town on the outskirts of a desert or whatever, and you shoot out all the lights to make it completely dark, to make it easier for you to sneak around in an open world. To me, that sounds like a great time. So yeah, and I think they looked to Metal Gear Solid 5, I believe, my understanding is, to as a sort of inspiration for what could work in a Ubisoft way, and I think that's exciting. So
yeah, I mean, especially with Assassin's Creed, even like as they say they're adding more stuff to it, still very much feels more like an action RPG.
Yes, absolutely.
These days. So there's definitely room for them to have a more stealth-based franchise. It's something like a Splinter Cell, you would hope that this could be an open world game that's not so like map checklisty. Like there shouldn't be towers, there shouldn't be all these things. It should be open world, and here are the targets. Now figure out a way to go get them. Almost kind of like the original Assassin's Creed.
Agreed. Yeah, that would be fantastic. And then finally, GTA Online is getting new story content with Franklin featuring Dr. Dre music, like new Dr. Dre music. I guess I just wanted to get your quick take on this, Mike. Like, do you think this is like them saying, hey, we need to appease the single player campaign players in some way with what we're doing, and so let's just like bring them back in, say, hey, here's more Franklin, and it'll feel more like the single player game, but it's still in GTA Online? Or what is happening here?
I don't know if I would read that much into it. I mean, I think it's just, well, hey, of course we need more content for GTA Online, and why not this idea? Like, Franklin is obviously a character people remember and like from that game. Why not do it? I wouldn't read too much into it.
Yeah, and it's almost like, oh yeah, and this was the rumor, like, oh, Dr. Dre making music for a new GTA. People are like, oh, so GTA 6 is coming. No, it's for this. And to me, this reads almost like, hey, Dr. Dre approached them about, hey, listen, I would love to debut my music in Grand Theft Auto somewhere. Do you have anywhere for me to do that? And they're like, well, why don't we just make something for that? It almost feels like it worked that way instead of the other way, but who knows?
Jeff, why is there a giant list of 2022 games in the doc?
Because I would like to talk about what's coming out in 2022. Now, wait, however, it's a big list, and maybe we should save this for a week.
You realize we have like 3 more podcasts to do this month, right?
Yes,
Before
exactly. So I was going to ask you, like, maybe we should save like this entire list for then. Real quick, I did in the headline. I said we'll talk about 2022 a little bit. So just real quick, pick a game off here that you're excited about that you like maybe like don't normally talk about. Is there anything out here that jumps out at you like beyond like the God of War Ragnaroks?
River City Girls 2.
Okay, awesome. Yeah.
That's absolutely my favorite. If you had told me about this earlier, I would have told you then that it was a stupid idea to talk about 2022 this week.
Yeah, can I be honest? I could hear your voice in my head as I was putting this in the doc. I'm like, oh, he's going to see this.
You knew you were doing something wrong.
I knew I was biting off more than I could chew.
We're going to be talking about the Game Awards this year. Why do the big 2022 conversation this
week? It's like echoing because it's like you're saying that, and then the you in my head is saying that as well. So yeah, exactly. I think for me, I think I'm still excited to see what's happening with Marvel Midnight Suns. I know people got it off that game because it's a card game, but I'm like, I still want to give it a chance. And then we saw that more from that Gollum game last night. I'm like, I
zoned out. I think I was writing something, and I don't know. How did it look? Did you watch the show? Because I didn't even see it.
It looks like exactly like the Lord of the Rings movie character, except for they made him slightly more cute because you're playing as him. I think they want you to empathize with him more. So he's got even bigger eyes, and his nose is smaller and cuter and stuff. Yeah. But I don't know. We'll see. Okay, we will talk about what's coming in 2022 as part of as part of one of these podcasts before the end of the year, because we will run out of news.
You realize it's going to be weeks with Christmas where there will be no news, and we will desperately need this content for the podcast.
I did also think about that as I was putting this in here. Yes, there's going to be nothing. Think about it. Hey, it's already in there, so we can just leave it. It's work that's done, Mike. We've hoed this road.
I just want you to feel bad.
Oh, I always feel bad. Don't worry about that. Good. Okay, I guess real quick before we get into the super chats and everything, I started doing a Game of the Year community vote thing, and we got in a bunch of nominees over the last week, and I think I have the bracket set. And so I think what I'm going to do is, and maybe I can ask chat, what would be the best way to do it? I think the best way to do it would be just put all of the votes into a Google form and let people go in there and vote for them all at once, instead of doing it on Twitter where some people could come in and mess it up that aren't in our community, or to do it in chat one at a time and have the chat just be us voting the entire time. I think that'd be distracting. So let me know what you guys think is best. I think Google form is probably best, but we'll see. I will post the link to that in the description for the voting on YouTube, on the podcast, in the Discord. And if you want to participate, feel free to do that. I think we'll probably do over the next 2 weeks, this week and next week. I'll break up the first round. So we'll do for one half of the first round this week, and then beginning next week we'll do the second half of the first round next week. So 16 matchups and then 16 matchups. I have 32 games in the breakdown, but I'll let everybody see the list here coming up tonight and stuff. So yeah, that's ongoing. Halo Infinite is in it. I know it just came out and everyone was worried about that. Don't worry, it obviously made it in there. It was no problem at all.
Right. I mean, it won the the Video Game Awards fan vote thing, right?
Yes, and it was one of the top nominated games in our thing. The top nominated, the number one game that got the most nominations in our thing, Metroid Dread by far.
Nice.
Okay, Mike, super chats. Do you want to get to those real quick?
I would like to. I don't know how quick we'll be, but I'll do it.
All right.
Yes, Kung Fu Hot Dog says, festive greetings, lad. IGN had some minor backlash for not reporting on that alleged PlayStation 5 Predator. If it were someone well-known, what then? So, I don't know. I'm of two minds of that. We should report it. I don't know if we even did a story on it. For one thing, it's not down to the news people in that instance to necessarily bring light to those things. That person committed a crime.
Mm-hmm.
That person, that's the government's job now to deal with that. You would hope, right?
Yeah,
that's how it should work. It's not IGN's fault in any ways. So I don't know. I don't think that much backlash should be thrown at IGN's way for that.
And it was also a slightly tenuous situation because we were not dealing with an official sting. Sure. This was a vigilante group, and you're like, okay, do we trust this YouTube video posted by random people saying that this guy did this thing? To give a little bit of light on that, I have absolutely had people attempt to get people in the gaming industry in trouble by fabricating reports just like that and sending them to me and trying to get me to cover it and write a story about it. And in the process of doing my due diligence, which was probably what a lot of people were doing when they saw this, it was like, oh, I found this isn't accurate at all. This is a group that is trying to smear this person repeatedly, and this is their latest angle. And so that has happened. And so when you get something like this, there's reasons to take a step back and be like, wait, should we cover this right away? Let's find out what's going on here. Let's cover our bases. And a lot of times in that process, it's like, okay, the news has moved on. And at this point, it feels like we would just be coming up late and you kind of like scrap the story. It happens. And that's probably what happened with a lot of sites.
Yuri Delgado says, guys, it's Persona 4 for Switch, the monkey paw version. Yeah, I'm so excited. I like that fighting game a lot.
A lot of people do. Yes, a lot of people do.
It's very good. So it'll, that'll be fun. But also, yeah, like just put Golden on there. Here's my favorite super chat this week. Xbox will never be better than PlayStation, says Noah Vowed. No Kojima, Xbox, the Game Awards. Jeff Grubb lied again. Jeff,
I'll keep doing it. I'll keep doing it as long as I get away with it until somebody stops me.
Man, you absolutely. I mean, first, yes, you said no Avowed. You never said Avowed was going to be there. You guessed at one point months ago, maybe. The Kojima thing. Yeah. I thought you always said that wasn't going to happen at the Game Awards.
The last half a year, since after E3, I was like, yeah, maybe the Game Awards. And then I started looking at that stuff again because E3 was over. It's time to look to the future. And ever since then, it was like, almost certainly not. Almost certainly not. Nope. Definitely not. Definitely not. And that's what I've been saying for months. Absolutely.
Yeah. Gaming Forte said, off to work, gentlemen. Have a great show. Thank you, Forte.
Thanks, Forte. Forte's a good man. Tune into his show if you guys get a chance. Look him up on YouTube.
Green Thumb said the Game Awards sucked. GamesBeat does not suck. Happy Friday.
Thank you.
Friday, you too. B Martin 001 said, I feel like I wasted 4 hours of my life. I felt depressed after the show was over. I actually needed a few drinks after that abomination. Man, this person sounds like my last girlfriend. Fonso Assad says, get rid of the TV tie-ins and gimmicks. Give devs the opportunity to actually accept their awards. Put 4 trailers in between each award. Evan Dent says, Plague Tale Requiem exact release window? ? We didn't talk about Plague Tale. That game did look good, but I just haven't played the first one yet, so I don't know. It's like I don't have brain space for it.
Right.
Do you have any idea when that one's coming out?
No, they didn't say. I have no idea. No, I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm. Look at this. We had a lot of super chats, but we're just blasting through these things. They're mostly just nice comments, people telling us how nice we are or how we're liars. Victor Marinus says, Hellblade 2 looks great. Wonder Woman using the Nemesis system is dope. Question, though, why is Telltale making 3 games if oversaturation was their problem before? Also, it's my B-Day, so beer time. Well, they're making
I bet they're counting that Star Trek game as one game, and then that's not Telltale.
Yeah. And I don't blame anyone for thinking that's a Telltale game.
Yes.
Again, sure. Right. But I bet are they also working on The Wolf Among Us? Is that their other thing? I forget. They're doing something else.
I honestly don't know anymore. But yeah, I knew they were coming back. Then after that, I forgot that Telltale was a going concern again. So I just had not been paying attention.
I mean, oversaturation was a problem, but they also do need to make those deals.
Right. Yeah. You got to have work.
You gotta have work. RDX, son of a Fett, says, can't wait to play the Tunic demo on Xbox. Yeah, we didn't talk about that, but there was some Tunic stuff showing up there, so that's good. William Carana asks, was Matrix the Small Coalition project?
No. That's not. That's all Epic Games.
That's all Epic Games, not Coalition.
No.
Video 999ish asks, was Chrono Cross Remastered supposed to show up at the Game Awards? It's been rumored for a little while for release thanks to NVIDIA. I don't think it was ever maybe supposed to show up there. I still think we all think it's a real thing. There's so much smoke there. They did that whole random crossover event with that other game, adding Chrono Cross characters to it. They never do anything with Chrono Cross. So the fact that happened, I'm sure we're going to be hearing about a Chrono Cross Remastered between now and maybe like E3 is maybe the latest, but that certainly seems to be a real thing.
Yep, agreed.
Mm-hmm. Supernova says, did Obsidian lie?
Someone said the Coalition did contribute to the Matrix thing. It's still not that project then. Okay, fair enough.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it is not the small project that they're. I think they are. They were probably like contributing to it in a way like, oh, we are working on Unreal and we can like be contracted out, but it's not the small thing that they were working on. No.
What is the small thing they're working on, Jeff?
it's going to be a full project that is coming out in 2023. Like, so it's like going to be a real game. But as for like what it is exactly, I don't know.
Supernova said, "Did Obsidian lie about getting the latest Avowed news on their official website? Does soon mean a year in terms of time?" Okay, so I think at some point on their site they said there'll be Avowed news soon.
Yes.
I mean, look, the Final Fantasy 16 people back when we saw that for sure was like, well, there'll be more news by the end of 2021.
Right.
Doesn't really mean we're going to be absolutely getting news by the end of 2021. Lying is a strong word. These things just always get moved back and
right. Yes, people. This is when people are so deterministic about the future, where they're like, if someone says it's going to happen before, like it's going to happen soon, or it's going to happen by the end of the year, or it's going to happen like before the next season or whatever, people assume that 100% means we are going to get the thing we want by then, and it's just it's way more nebulous than that. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's it for the super chats. Oh, and we just got one in from Good Morning Games. What was the 2.5 years in the making announcement that Keighley was hyping?
Did he say anywhere?
The show? Well, let's think about this. Which one could it have been then?
Is it Cuphead, the delicious last course?
No, why would it? I feel like even 2.5 years is long for that. Is it something weird like freaking Slitterhead? There was one where he introduced it and he was like, this guy always dreamed of showing his game at the Game Awards or something. I can't remember what game that was for now.
He said maybe that for Hellblade 2 is what Andy's saying. Okay. I mean, I guess that makes some sense. Hellblade 2 is what people are saying. Okay. I guess.
Well, okay. That's all right.
Fair enough.
Isaac Spencer, by the way, just sent a super chat saying, "Great shows always. Happy Friday. Happy Friday to you, sir. Thank you."
And thanks, chat, for giving us the info about the coalition. I appreciate that. That's helpful.
That's a good example of Jeff Keighley maybe sometimes getting himself into trouble. Like why hype up Hellblade 2 like that? A game we already. Yeah, people are excited to see gameplay of it.
But we knew we were never going to see it until then. Like if you'd been paying attention to Hellblade 2 at all, by the time he said that, I was not the only one saying like this was going to be the first time we're going to see gameplay. There was a lot of people saying that at that point. So it's like, I don't know. It just felt like the wrong way to hype that up. You're right.
Yeah.
All right. So, okay, done with the super chats.
That's it for super chats for now. What's the community got for us?
All right. Let's see. This one's from Gigamir. Can you think of another game that was as highly anticipated as Cyberpunk 2077? Is it possible that this was the most anticipated release in video game history? I would say that it's a fair assessment.
Maybe. I can remember. I remember before Metal Gear Solid 2 came out, there was so much excitement for that at the time. That was pretty.
Games have gotten bigger. That's the thing. Like it's almost an unfair comparison at that point. I think if you were to like you compare it like ratios for like how many gamers there were to the excitement level to how much there was for Cyberpunk 2077, it was pretty equivalent.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Yeah, because like my other example would be like Halo 2, stuff like that. Even Halo 3 had
Halo 3 was huge. Yeah,
Halo 3 was a very big deal. Like there's a lot of excitement for Red Dead Redemption 2, stuff like that. It's definitely one of the biggest ones. I tell you what, it certainly is the proportion to how excited people were, and then like the actual reception to it sure was.
Nothing like it.
Pretty interesting. Yep.
Delta Prime 84. When I buy new PC hardware, I keep an eye out for free games included with the hardware. For instance, I got Guardians of the Galaxy with my new laptop because of an Nvidia promotion and Far Cry 6 because of an AMD promotion with the CPU I bought last year. Do these air quotes free games count towards sale numbers? I mean, internally I'm sure they get paid some money for doing that, so they probably count it in some ways, but it's not going to be counted in the NPD if that's what you're asking. No, right. NPD does not count bundled games.
That's Nvidia eating the cost there, not Square Enix.
Right. So that's why it's always so impressive when we get Mario Kart 8 numbers in the NPDs and it continues to sell, because that game is also bundled with a lot of Switches, and that counts towards Nintendo's global number of like 38 million, whatever it is for that game now. But it's still like it's selling individually super well because just the physical sales, not bundled, show up on the top 10 chart on NPD almost every month, or at least in the top 20. So yeah. From Blackheart Vinyl, with the Game Awards here, perhaps more exciting is that the drafts for the 2022 Fantasy Critic League will be starting soon. Got any hot tips, any games flying under the radar now that you think that could be steals in the third or fourth round? Will next year be as bad for delays as this year? How much of a risk is Zelda and Final Fantasy 16?
Those are big risks.
I was going to say, let's focus on that. What do you think is the chances of Final Fantasy 16 and Zelda coming out next year?
Zelda, I think, has a pretty good chance of being the holiday game.
Yeah.
We've actually seen more of Zelda than Final Fantasy 16 at this point. So, I mean, I'm still hopeful that will be a late game, but I bet that's one that right now internally they're hoping for late 2022, but that could easily get pushed back. Same thing for Zelda, really.
Yep. And we'll go over like what's going to be in 2022 in one of these upcoming weeks as we talk about that full list of
I'm not
games.
going to give you my under the radar one, so I need to hoard this for next year. I'm going to try.
Next year he's going to try, everybody. You didn't finish in last place this year, Mike, so good for you.
There we go.
From Blackheart Vinyl, am I crazy that I want Conquer to be handed over to Tango Gameworks to make a really fucked up and weird Conquer game? That's a thought. That's interesting. I like that.
What's Tangoed again? I can't even...
Evil Within.
Okay, sure.
Don't be too excited, Mike. All right, from Matt, do you think the Switch 2 will use an SSD? Yes. I worry we'll be still using flash storage a decade from now. The next major Switch upgrade will use an SSD. Yes, absolutely. It won't just be because of third parties really asking for it and requesting it. Internal studios would be like, hey, it's time. We really need an SSD, and that'll be the thing that'll make it feel like a whole new system. I mean, if you try to go back to use like a laptop that has a hard drive at this point, it feels 25 years old. They're going to have to get on SSD. That's going to be the biggest thing they could do, and really would save battery life. What? Go ahead.
There's an update to this union busting thing. Activision Blizzard apparently someone sent Julie Hodges from Activision Blizzard sent a email to the managers at Activision Blizzard saying, we know many of you are getting questions from employees about union related issues, and knowing how to respond can be tricky. To that end, we will be holding several manager training sessions next week to provide you guidance on how to address these questions and ask that you attend one of them. Please look for invitations that will go up before the end of the week. In the meantime, we'll be preparing short Q&As on some of your immediate questions. If you have any other questions, please contact your HR BP. I wonder how they're going to tell them to respond to all these questions about unions.
Sorry, the kids are fighting. That's just more classic union busting stuff, though, isn't it? It is trying to, stop like all the employees from talking. Like, answer the questions yourself and take them away individually. Answer them. Don't let them, gather together. It's classic union busting stuff. So hopefully, the employees are able to see through this, and I think at this point, many of them will. All right, Nick Turbo, do you think Playground's Fable will retain any of the aspects of the original games, or will it only relate to them in name only? I'm very excited for it, but my main worry is that it will be just a Witcher 3 knockoff. It's still going to try to be Fable, in my opinion.
Yeah, for better or for worse, maybe.
Yep. From Gigamir, if Sony threw away their timed console exclusivity and instead started launching first-party titles day and date on PC, how many people do you think would lose interest in the console due to true exclusives no longer existing? I know a lot of people who buy a PlayStation only to play those siloed-off games and play everything else on PC if a port is available. It would lose some, and that would have some run-on effect, but the people that only buy PlayStation exclusive games, that's the only reason they have a PlayStation. Those people are actually not worth that much to Sony in the first place. If you are playing, The Last of Us 2 on your PlayStation, and then you go play all of your free-to-play games, all of your service games, all of your subscription games on PC instead, you're not worth that much financially to Sony, and it would not be a big loss to them if they lost you. That's the reality. The hope is that you buy the exclusives and then you start doing all your other stuff on PlayStation as well. So, and at the end, I don't think it would make too much of a difference to their bottom line, but it also wouldn't be a net positive or net neutral. It would be a net negative. All right. From Beef Hammer. Came up with some nicknames of my own this time. Jeff explaining to Mike that this was the Breath of the Wild of Game Awards shows, Grubb, and Mike pretending to listen to Jeff, but really just thinking about Halo, Endwalker, and Arby's instead, Minotti. Yeah, that's fair enough. I wanted to ask you both about the big snub from last night's awards that everyone is talking about, and you both are well equipped to discuss. How could Alexander Simple Kotsalev beat Chris Simp Lear for Best Esports Player? Mike, you have any thoughts here? Any prescient information?
Yeah, there's no justice in this world. It's a dark, sad place, and we just have to all make the best of it and band together to help each other through these dark times.
And I'll say it. I know people are afraid to say it, but I'll say it. I bet it was bigotry. I bet there's some bigotry involved here.
Yeah,
So,
I agree with that.
from Turbo Sean, happy Friday, guys, and hope you had a good birthday, Mike. So recently, I've been collecting all the different Halo Infinite themed Rockstar Energy cans because they're cool looking, cheap little knickknacks to put on my game shelf. All right, yeah, more power to
call
you.
that garbage, but that's fine.
Yeah, hopefully they're still if they're still full, that's one thing. If they're empty, you're just collecting trash at that point.
I said that I literally have some cans of Coke on display, so don't don't mind me.
It's a shame. It doesn't hurt that I got some cool skins in the process. Yeah, I've actually been thinking about like picking up more of that stuff. I happened to come across something that had a code for it. I'm like, oh, cool, and that got me in the mood of like, I should go get more. As I was putting them up, I realized I have a lot of food and drink themed gaming collectibles. Street Fighter V and Pac-Man Red Bull cans, Mario and Pokemon cereal, even Final Fantasy themed cup noodles. It got me thinking, do the Beef and Cheddar Boys have any oddball collections like this?
Food related ones. I mean, I have this
oddball.
Shin Megami Tensei 5 edible sand. It's just called magic sand. Although I want to give that away. Maybe we'll start thinking about this Christmas giveaway stuff next week.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, most of my oddball collection stuff is more Disney related. Somebody sent me a commemorative can of Coke for the opening of Toontown in Disneyland, so I have that in my bedroom, just this can of Coke, and I have like the empty bottles of the Coke containers they give you at the Star Wars land and Disney. So yeah, apparently all my weirder food stuff is really Disney related, and not video game. It's not edible, says J. Arthur. Then why do I have what is this
Not
sand?
edible. I think it's like some toy that like can behave in weird way. Whatever. Eat it on camera then. Eat it on camera, you coward.
Is it like bath salts? Magic sand is generally magnetic. Oh, it's magnetic.
Right. Yeah. It's a toy. All right.
What?
I don't know. I don't have any collections like this. I got to read this next one from Turbo Sean though because I gasped. Bonus question. Jeff, is Nala the reason you insist on getting fucked by the lions every week?
Wow, that's funny. Don't worry. This is from the guy who was convinced that I gave a game a different review score than what I actually gave it.
No,
me a liar.
Now you're mixing it up. This is Turbo Sean, not Nick Turbo.
I heard
They're all turbos. They're all turbos, but
Turbo Sean's fine. Nick Turbo is the problem. Yeah, I agree with him. Good one, Nick. Good one, Turbo Sean. You got him. I was too busy thinking about if I should eat the magic sand or not.
Don't eat magnets, Mike. Don't do that. All right.
What? Was magnetic with what? Anything?
With magnets. With metal. What do you mean?
Shut up, Jeff.
It's a self-defined word. All right. I got this child I have to do this podcast with. Epic Open World. To me, what brought down the Game Awards was the lack of games by the platform holders. In my mind, the best years are when Nintendo, Sony, and Microsoft bring something. Microsoft brought Hellblade 2 with not even a release year. Sony and Square brought Forspoken, which we have already seen a few times before, and someone forgot to wake up Nintendo to tell them the Game Awards were happening. All three of these platforms have many studios and many games. Is it unfair of me to expect the major platform holders to show up for an event like this? I mean, I would say, yeah, probably unfair because this is not their thing. They don't have to show off games if they're not ready. They have their own events that they have to put on and make entertaining. A lot of them are just holding off stuff for E3, which isn't actually that far away.
I guess I'm not getting a reaction. The magic sand.
Listen, my kids have some magic sand, and we don't let them play with it. First, but my wife says that they're not ready for it because they're like 4 and 2. So
you're worried they're going to eat it.
I think we're definitely worried they're going to eat it. But
it doesn't smell good.
So I haven't actually messed around with it all that much. I it's called kinetic sand sometimes or whatever.
Okay. I guess I'll have to figure that out later or eat it off stream.
From another one from Epic Open World, Jeff Keighley at the beginning of the show gave a mealy mouth statement at the beginning of the show calling out toxicity with no specific mention of Activision. None of the presenters or award winners said anything either. I find this all disheartening considering earlier in the day those folks went on strike and established a strike fund. Are industry folks afraid to say anything because they are worried it will affect their chances of getting hired not only by Activision but by AAA studios owned by a big publisher? I mean,
I mean, look, if Jeff Keighley didn't do it, I don't think we need to expect anyone else to. But no one else really even had any time except for that guy who was watching a Halo stream while he was giving out an award.
Right.
He wasted a lot of time. But like,
yeah, but he's a movie star. He doesn't know what's going on. Yeah.
Like the person who played the Lady Demonstraw or whatever it's called from Resident Evil 8, like she gets like 10 seconds to thank people and to like get a moment, and people deserve their moment. And if they want to speak out, that's nice, but we can't like condemn them for not.
And she's got her own priorities of like she's a voice actress, and she has like they have their own concerns when it comes to working with the game industry, and that stuff has been sort of litigated before publicly. So and a lot of the other people that accepted awards or presented were management. They're on the other side of this. They're the ones that would be unionized against. So yeah,
it was really up to Jeff Keighley. Like Jeff Keighley's response was all we could really count on there.
Right. Winnie featuring X from Y. What are your favorite deep cut Star Wars games? My first computer game was Star Wars Rebellion, but I have a special shout out to Star Wars DroidWorks, which included a YouTube links here. I've never played. I think you've mentioned this before, DroidWorks.
Mm-hmm.
No, maybe not.
No, I never played DroidWorks.
Okay.
My answer for this would be the DS Revenge of the Sith game, which is just
pretty good. Yes.
Yeah, it's pretty simple. The Game Boy Advance is basically the same thing. It's just a side-scrolling beat-em-up where you play as Anakin or Obi-Wan. It's relatively simple, but surprisingly a lot of fun. I enjoyed that one.
Yeah, Star Wars Rebellion was my first CD-ROM game for PC, and I definitely liked it. There was also a like Star Wars sort of museum CD-ROM thing that came around at the same time, and I like that a lot. I like that a lot too.
It's fantastic.
Winnie with a fake mustache featuring Pokemon X from Y. As someone else who loves Star Wars novels and likes what Light of the Jedi was doing, that's the first one in the High Republic that I was talking about earlier. What are some of your favorite arcs from the expanded Star Wars universe? There aren't many opportunities to mention they killed Chewbacca with a moon, so I thought I'd take it. Not my favorite, but most memorable. I think that is definitely the most memorable moment when they killed Chewbacca with a moon. Yes.
Yeah, that's one of the few Star Wars novels I read was the one where they killed Chewbacca with the moon, and then he like blamed his son Anakin for it.
Yes, and he got went all drinky and got all turned into a drunk for a while.
I was reading those until somebody just spoiled some other things that happened to me, and it was like it's almost kind of like the problem I have with the new movies. Like everyone just gets there has to be drama or else the stories can't continue. So they just keep killing people off and making people miserable. And there's a certain point where I'm like, I want these characters to be kind of happy at some point. I don't need to keep seeing them getting tortured and beat up and killed and depressed and just going through the ringer. So I was a little over it. My favorite extended universe movies usually are more like or extended universe stories are like the stuff in the games. Like KOTOR is probably my favorite Star Wars story.
KOTOR is actually probably the best written one. Yeah.
Yeah.
For me, Chris Davis in chat mentioned it's the Han Solo trilogy. I literally have it right here. I mean, yeah,
nice.
They're fantastic. It's 3 books written by A.C. Crispin, who actually died a few years ago, an excellent sci-fi author. Those books are really good. They were very good when I read them as like an early teenager or whatever. And they definitely are. They're not it's not Proust. It's not Proust, but it is still really solid storytelling, and I enjoy it. And it's way better than the Solo movie. So yeah. From Danger Man Leet, after the TGAs, I have serious copium hooked up on me after no Avowed. I wonder how Microsoft is going to showcase both Avowed and Starfield together at E3 next year, if that's the case.
I mean, they might just focus more on Starfield. I mean, they'll show some of Avowed, but Avowed's much further away than Starfield. Anyways,
I think it's still 2023. Yeah, so we'll get a trailer for Avowed, and then we'll get a blowout for Starfield. Right? That's the difference. And Avowed is going to be a fantasy thing. There will be some other elements to it, I think, but it's still going to be more fantasy. So you could do both.
Yeah, Jeff, I feel like the scrolling thing on this UI that says the last people that gave us super chats has been broken for a while now.
Oh, has it been? Okay, all right.
Call me crazy. Well, I keep saying my brother Christopher Minotti. I'm like, when's the last time Chris Minotti gave us a super chat?
He did last week, or maybe he did it during Nintendogs. Maybe. It should be okay. I'll take a look at it when we're done here.
Maybe I'm crazy. Maybe I'm just because then there are some I recognize. You know what, Jeff? I may be making up problems.
No, I'll take a look at it. It has been a long time since I assessed it, so it might be worth looking at. Another one from Danger Man. Funny how EA issued a denial about Tom Henderson's long video about Battlefield 2042 development and the future of the series. Yeah, I think that they I think they're frustrated with some of the characterizations where it's like, yeah, a lot of this stuff is normal. A lot of this stuff is just kind of how it works. And these things being treated as the fundamental reasons for the problems are pretty frustrating to them. Also, it's like, it doesn't give the full framework of, yeah, this is how some people inside of like DICE, some of the people like, you know, the everyday worker at DICE, they feel this way, but there are a lot of other perspectives that maybe aren't getting recognized there. Still, I don't think anything he's written is exactly untrue. It's just not the full story.
If I decided that the scrolling thing is not a problem, it seems to be fine.
All right, we fixed it. Congratulations, everybody. From VJ Incoming. Happy Friday, Jeff and Mike. Can we all... You just saw Chris Minotti's name and you just got frustrated. You're like, gross.
Out there, another Minotti intrude on my space here.
From VJ Incoming. Happy Friday, Jeff and Mike. Can we all agree the best Game Awards moment was the gaggle of Minotti's all celebrating Final Fantasy XIV winning an award? That was my favorite moment. Absolutely.
Two of them weren't even Minotti's; they were friends. Our old editor didn't like that though. He said there's no cheering from the press section. And
it was like, it's like at a certain point, it's like that. I don't know. If you're a fan of a game at this point, I don't know. Whatever, it's fine with me. When was the time that either of you saw something that and thought, this is stupid, I need to own this? I mean, almost every day. Doesn't have to be gaming related. I was in Walmart yesterday and found a replica of the Turbo Man action figure from Jingle All the Way. That's stupid, and I need to own that. That's where I'm at right now. I had to get it knowing that it took Arnold Schwarzenegger an entire movie to get it, and mine was just sitting there on the shelf. I'm legit going to buy that opportunity. Yeah. I'm like, as soon as we're done here, I'm gonna buy that. That's incredible.
My answer would be the pizza eating emote in Final Fantasy 14, which is going to make me get some Grubhub at some point this weekend.
Yeah, I do stuff like that all the time. I'm like struggling to think of an exact example, but I mean that's a very frequent thing I say to myself as I'm putting in my credit card info. Reese Elliott says, one for Mike. You have an unlimited budget to make a Disney game of your dreams with any studio, which franchise, what kind of game, and who's developing it?
Well, it's definitely a Rocketeer game. And it's going to be like an open world, like superhero game kind of thing where you can fly a lot. And yeah, I'll say Insomniac. Why not? They've been making good games lately. I'd like to see what they can do. You know what? Machine Gun Games might not be a bad one for that too. There's a lot of people I think could make that game. Monolith can probably even do it pretty well. Naughty Dog, sure, a lot of people. But the most important thing is just open world Rocketeer game with free flying and stuff like that.
From Blackheart Vinyl, evidently the Coalition helped out on the Matrix thing. Was this the small scale project they were doing to learn UE5 before they do Gear 6, or is that another thing that's still coming? So now that I know that, I will look into it more and find out exactly. But the thing I always heard was they were making what is going to turn into a real video game product that they will sell, and it'll be out in 2023. So that doesn't sound like this. This just sounds like they were available to assist in some way and just like saying, hey, this will help us learn Unreal Engine 5 as we prepare for that next thing. So I really don't think that's the case. So I'll look into it more and I'll come with more information soon. From Jedi Moss 4, the promises and possibilities of Halo Infinite's open world has me more excited for the series than ever. Now that Halo's open world experiment has been deemed a success, what would you most like to see get added into the game over the course of its life?
I just kind of expanding on it literally is fine. I'm almost not as bothered by the lack of biomes thing as some people. I didn't even really notice it just because I do like that like pine forest alpine like aesthetic so much. I do think if they keep adding things, and sure, we'll have to switch up the aesthetic. I still think the real big goal someday is the game where there's full exploration on an entire Halo ring and you can literally fly from like the one point to the point straight above you. Now, even as I say that, there's a part of me that wonders, like, if when we get that, are we going to say, that game's too big, I missed the focus of Halo Infinite's more scaled back thing, right? I was thinking about that. I was reading the Bloomberg report about how they cut 2/3 of the game and all stuff. And I was like, clearly that was to the game's benefit. That maybe helped out. So right now, I really do just want more. I would like for them to I wish they could find a way to make some of those other equipment things as exciting as the grapple hook. I almost wish they could have made the grapple hook its own input so that I could use those other things too. Because if not, I'm just going to keep the grapple hook on, right? Like, why not?
I agree.
well, reading that thing, and I've seen this come up multiple times now, where as like this big example of like how they fix the Halo campaign. They keep bringing up this thing about adding more of the NPC Marines around, and I always keep kind of like stroking my chin to that one a bit. Like, was that big a deal to you?
You know, I'm glad it was there. It was better than it not being an option. But it was not. It was never the thing that was like, oh, this is why I love it. But had it not been there, I bet the world would feel a little bit more sterile, a little bit less alive. And it was occasionally cool to drop down a vehicle that had a big cannon on the back, and then I jump in and drive, and one of them starts firing, and it's like, and they just came from that thing that I just unlocked. So, and I just saved these soldiers, and now they're available to me to fight. So it was to the game's benefit. It did improve it overall, but it was never the thing that moved it from like a 3-star game to a 5-star game. Nothing like that.
Sure. Right. All right. Next.
Yep. Screaming Madden. I'm thinking about which games I'm looking forward to in 2022, and one game is Freedom Planet 2, the sequel to the cult indie hit Freedom Planet from 2014. The sequel was announced way back on Christmas Day of 2015, and after all these years, the developer Galaxy Trail announced a few months ago the game's release window of spring 2022. Silksong fans think they've had a long wait. Jokey aside, I'm happy the team has taken the time to put a lot of care into Freedom Planet 2's development, and happy to see this game finally get some release date info. The question for you guys is, what game have you personally waited the longest for its release ever since its initial announcement?
Do you know much about Freedom Planet, Jeff? This is like the very Sonic-y game.
Yeah,
it's
I know.
Sonic-y. It's even more furry-ish. Furry? I keep saying
furry-ish,
fury.
yeah.
Why do I always say furies?
Because you're just in that the Greek, is that Greek mythology? Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, something. Yeah, furries. Yeah, it's even more furry, fantastic, right? So
the thing I know about Freedom Planet is that it was the thing that like Vita owners were leaning on. Is like, this is a big deal, and I'm like, oh, you guys are cute. You guys are cute. But I've never played it.
Yeah, Jeff, what is the game you've been waiting a while for? I'm trying to. I mean, for so long it was like Kingdom Hearts 3, and that finally came out.
And the one that comes to mind right now is Metroid Prime 4, but it's probably not the longest actually, but it's the one that's like seems the most far out, even though it was announced years and years ago.
Yeah, pretty good one. But by the time that one does actually finally come out, it's going to be pretty ridiculous.
It's going to be ridiculous, yeah. Benji Bop. Happy Friday, Jeff. The puppets are more impressive than the 2D hand-drawn
oh my God,
hand-drawn turned into a video game, Grubb. And Mike, door busts open. Final Fantasy 14, let's go! Minotti. Between Halo Infinite, Pokemon Legends Arceus, Kirby, and now Sonic, it's safe to say Breath of the Wild has and will continue to inspire every open-world game for the foreseeable future.
Yes, absolutely. We all like that's why that game was so important when we played it, because even as we played it, and we were years away from games being influenced by it, we all knew it was going to happen.
Yeah,
it was just that good, and
it was literally
important.
The first thing everyone said after playing it was like, this is going to influence everything. And when will we see the first games influenced by it? And now people are like, it's the surprise Pikachu face that it's happened. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you're right. That's right. Yeah, I can't believe this is happening. Like I think that's part of the reason why like a game like a Far Cry 6 kind of does feel a little bit weird, because it's like in a bubble where Breath of the Wild didn't happen. And it's kind of bizarre when you're playing it. Like, oh, this is just like Far Cry 3 still, which was like the last previous super revolutionary.
That's a very good point,
game, right?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, this is acting like we didn't just all move on with Breath of the Wild,
right? Nintendo Bro says, "What is this, Jeff?" And that's a reference to Reggie there. I appreciate that. Then he comes in with another one. Do you think we will see a challenger to the Video Game Awards anytime soon, or will we be stuck until Jeff Keighley rides off into the sunset in 20 years? Man,
I mean, there's other game awards like, and some of them we treat as kind of a big deal, like DICE and stuff like that. I don't know how much bigger they could possibly get. I mean, they would have to get game announcements, and you need that one recognizable person with all these relationships, like a Jeff Keighley, to do that. I don't know who else could do that. Like maybe a Greg Miller type, but Greg is really, Greg's not. I don't think Greg's as smoochy with like execs per se. With game makers, sure,
that's a good point.
So I don't know. I don't know if we necessarily need one. It's fine that we have this, and it's fine that we have some of the smaller ones that they're doing fine. And every publication has their awards too. But Game Awards is going to be the big show, like probably for at least the next 10 years, like you said, 20 years probably also.
The experience share in chat making me mad. Isn't Breath of the Wild just Skyrim with Zelda? No.
I saw that too. I was going to say,
No. A lot of people say this. A lot of people say this, and
That's
it's just like,
crazy.
oh,
it's obviously not that.
It's not that. No.
It's
If anything,
not even close to that.
if anything, it's Far Cry 2 with Zelda, but no one really played Far Cry 2, so it's like it's. I mean, whatever. We don't need to go into it. It's way more system space. It's way more about like the world pushing back against you. It's not about like just being an open world. It's not. Benji Bop. The biggest surprise for me last night was that was the Tiny Tina trailer showcasing a song from my favorite band, and now I went from slightly interested to buying this game day one. What's the smallest thing a piece of marketing has ever done to strongly sway your opinion of a game or a product in general?
That's interesting. That's a good question, because there certainly have been examples of that.
Right, where it's like you get an emote for pizza, and so you're going to start using Grubhub, like that sort of thing. Yeah. This happens to me all the time, and I'm like, I fully admit that marketing works on me, and yet I'm struggling to think of an example. It's a good question though. Yeah,
I mean, music is a good one. There was a song for the trailer for Assassin's Creed Revelations that I still listen to that song now, and at the time it made me. I was already probably pretty on board that game anyways, because I really liked Assassin's Creed 2 and Assassin's Creed Brotherhood. So I can't say that was like a big turning point. This is one I always want to think about for a week. I want to be reminded about this. I bet this is a good answer somewhere, but I have to think a little bit. Oh, the Gears of War trailer of Mad World. That's a good example.
Yes.
Noah. Pretty similar thing with the music. I'm trying to think if there's like a game where like some celebrity showed up or something random like that, and I was like suddenly, oh, actually, I care about this now.
Right. Green Thumb does a quick one for this. Chemistry system plus physics plus open puzzle design plus open world equals Breath of the Wild. And also, like, so open that you can literally go to the end of the game right away. You could take that boulder at the beginning of the game, push it all the way up to Ganon, and have that be involved in how you defeat it. It's just so much more open and stuff. Yeah.
Right. And the only things that Skyrim has out of those is physics and open world.
Right. Yeah. And it's, and even those aren't
very different physics. Yes. Too, but yeah.
Important to what Skyrim's doing. It's just not exactly what Zelda's doing. Another one from Benji. Okay, last one. We didn't even get a year for Hellblade 2. That seems really surprising to me and shows they must have revealed the game off ridiculously early at the Series X announcement. Thoughts on why that is? Because it's coming out in 2023 at the earliest.
Yeah, no, well, they showed it when they did, because that was back when the criticism was Microsoft doesn't have these games, these first-party games to compete with PlayStation, and they're making all these deals, but when are we going to see games? It was important for them at that point to show people that those games are coming, even if they were going to be a long time away.
I really like this one from Gerber. Biomes. That's some hoity-toity bullshit, right?
Wow. I'm sorry that you slept during 5th grade science class.
I know about biomes because of Star Wars, so to me it's some nerdy shit. But I think maybe if he's meaning like the criticism of Halo about like the lack of biomes, I tend to agree with Mike that it didn't actually bother me that much, but it felt worth mentioning in the review is where I was at with it.
Like if there was a zone where there's like snow covering the trees, I guess I may have liked that for a little bit. It did,
right. I was like I like snow in games, so I was like, I can't wait to get to the snow part, and there was no snow part, so like a little disappointed, but it wasn't a big deal.
I do agree that it bothered me much more indoors, like the indoor areas looking all samey. That I actually probably
reused rooms is exactly the thing that they did, so I noticed that a lot.
But I never got tired of that Halo aesthetic. I'll be honest.
Yes, I agree. The outdoor aesthetic was fine for me. Cole Knapp, how many Keeleys out of 10 for the Game Awards?
6.
Yeah, 6 or 7. I was gonna say 7.
Slightly
so yeah,
above average. I feel like for a while I was always getting higher and higher in the Game Awards.
It was going like 8 and 9.
A little bit back down again. Yeah,
agreed. From Schaefer, I don't actually have a question. I just wanted to see if the form still works. Okay, so now we know this is after we started the show. All right, just a couple more. Nick Turbo, what is the difference between action and action adventure? They list this on the website, but basically the thing I was using in my brain was action's just really all action, and action adventure has puzzle solving in it.
Yeah, I think the way they specifically said it on our voting process was action adventure. They almost made it sound like just more movement stuff in the action adventure thing. So think of the difference between like Gears of War and Uncharted, I suppose.
Oh, okay.
Like that's why Gears of War is an action game, why Uncharted is action adventure. There's a line and it's kind of silly and there's all sorts of questions, and I wish they would kind of just move beyond the genre stuff here and think of some other more interesting awards like best movement or stuff like that. But
the categories the categories do feel very outdated for this, but whatever. Cool Francis, hey guys, what are your thoughts on the gameplay shown for Hellblade 2 and Suicide Squad, since those are being built specifically for next gen? I mean, as for like we talked about this a little bit, but just to reiterate, Hellblade 2, like, we're not sure like what to think of the gameplay because it's very difficult to tell what people like, what the input was there. I thought it looked amazing, and I think it looks, really next gen. As Suicide Squad looks fun, and I don't know. I think I'm just off put by the art a little bit or something, and the style and the vibes, but that's me. I don't know. From Dave. With footage shown last night from Suicide Squad, were you all impressed with what Rocksteady has shown since it's exclusively for next gen? This is basically the same question again. Their games have always been great, but it's been quite a while since they released a game. Personally, their games are always great, and it being next gen only game, it looked fantastic. I guess I think the faces, like, it was gameplay, right? And so the animation on the faces all did look technically impressive. From Jayton, this is just my thought for next year's Game Awards. I think Nintendo is going to have a much bigger presence, and we will all see a huge push for marketing for the Mario movie, since it will come out only weeks after TGA. Just wondering if you both agree/disagree with this. I
mean, I definitely agree about the Mario movie part. I don't know. With games, who knows at this point? They just showed that if they're willing to not do it this year, they could be willing to not do it next year.
From Nick Turbo, can we do a most anticipated game of 2022 bracket like game of the year? Let's see how this bracket goes, and then we'll talk about it. We'll see if this is a shit show or not. All right, that does it for the community questions. Mike, any more super chats?
Yeah, we got a few more in here. Isaac Spencer just said, "Great shows always. Happy Friday."
Thank you, Isaac.
Good Morning Game says, "What was?" Didn't I read this one? Yeah, I did read that one. I probably read that one also. What was the 2.5 years in the making announcement? We figured out that was
Hellblade.
Hellblade, right. Okay, here are the actual ones. Josh Tarpley says, "Is Halo Infinite the best Xbox One game?" I have a hard time thinking about that as an Xbox One game still, I have to admit.
Yeah.
How is it running on there? Is it fine?
I'm going to assume it's running fine on there because we haven't heard a lot of whining, right?
Yes, exactly. People would say, right, if it wasn't,
it would be a very big deal if it was like a real, if it was like a falling apart, like anything close to Cyberpunk, it would be headlines everywhere, right? So I'm assuming it's fine.
The best Xbox One game is Ori and the Will of the Wisps.
All right, there you go.
Supernova says, "Will Kojima get revenge on Jeff Keighley for not sending him an invite for TGA 2021? There's a rumor that Kojima is preparing a fiber wire to assassinate Jeff like Agent 47. I didn't even listen to Hideo Kojima when he was on screen. I feel like we were screaming about something else. Is that what he was doing? Was he joking that he didn't get an invite from Keighley?
It seemed like he was like, it was like everything else where he's like, I'm too busy to travel, so here's a video clip.
Yeah, what? I don't even remember what he was there for. It's like
he introduced Guillermo del Toro's new movie trailer.
That's right. He introduced that for some reason.
Nothing to do with games. Yeah. Although people are reading into that. If you go to Reset Era, there's a guy who was like, all right, so Guillermo del Toro mentioned Silent Hill. It was introduced by Kojima. He was wearing this shirt. So it's happening, Mike.
No, it's not. It's definitely not happening. Portugal the Mark says, "Hey guys, happy Friday. Watching since March, and now this show is unmissable for me. Thank you. You guys are informative and a good laugh. Cheers. We're looking forward to Dying Light 2. Hope no more delays, please." Man, I should like Dying Light. I love the Mirror's Edge games. People always say they're kind of like Mirror's Edge. I just don't like zombies. I'm just very over that aesthetic.
Yeah, I'm right there with you.
Kyrie Williams says, "Is it possible Kojima is working on both an Xbox game and Silent Hill?" Well, anything is possible.
Yeah, it's possible. I mean, the only one I can confirm that is in the works, like in terms of discussion, is the Xbox One.
Mm-hmm. All right, Jeff. Here's a big one here from Jared Helder. "I know scores don't matter, but should you be giving a perfect score to an unfinished game? Also, the progression system matters. It needs to work." Jeff, he's talking about your Halo Infinite review.
Yeah, I didn't give it a perfect score. I gave it a 5 out of 5. That's not perfect. That is not. Nowhere do we say that is perfect. It is something we might consider for Game of the Year. It's something we might think is one of our favorite games. It's the way I felt about the game was 5 out of 5, especially when I consider my time with both the single player and the multiplayer. It doesn't work backwards from like this perfect piece of art, and then if it's any sort of dent in that, now it can't be a 5 out of 5. That's never been the way the scores have worked for us. It's been the way it's worked in the past at some websites 20 years ago, but even those websites don't do that anymore. So yeah, I was not giving it a perfect score. I was saying the way I feel about this game is 5 stars. It is a 5-star game to me.
And all those things he's saying, like, yeah, it's true. Like, it's a bummer. There's no co-op. The progression system does need work. I think it bothers me and Jeff less than a lot of other people.
Oh yes, definitely.
Like me and Jeff don't care that much about the cosmetics. We don't care that much. I mean, I care a little bit about the progression not feeling great, but it doesn't really impact how much fun I'm having when I'm playing the game. To be honest, it impacts how much fun I'm having when I'm in the menus in between the game, I guess. Which not a giant deal. The same thing with the co-op thing. I'm completely fine waiting a little bit for that. That's okay for me. And if that's a bummer for you, I don't blame you, and I don't blame you for knocking the game.
Yes, yeah, and other people are allowed to, like, if that's what you care about, then yes, you're allowed to have your own score of it. But that's how you feel, and this is just how I feel about it.
Yeah. Was the Halo Infinite embargo really just this Monday? It feels like
it feels forever ago. Yeah. Wow.
Jeff, that was the last super chat. Thank you so much, everybody, for sending those in.
Appreciate cool. I've got a child who just dropped a massive deuce in her pants, and nice. I would like to go deal with that, Mike. So I guess I'll ask you real quick. Is there anything else we want to talk about?
Yeah, no, I beat KOTOR, but that's a Switch game, so I could talk about that on Nintendo.
Okay, yeah, that'd be great. I would love to talk to you more about that, because I want to get I want to get encouraged to go play more of it myself, because I was having fun with it. I want to go back to it. So, all right, we'll talk about that on Nintendogs on Tuesday. I guess in the meantime, should we just get out of here?
Let's do it. Let's get that poo-poo cleaned up.
All right. So, Mike, where can people find you on the internet?
You can find me on Twitter at twitter.com/tokoto. You can also check me out on 90s Disney, my 90s Disney podcast at 90sdisney.com. I think that then, GamesBeat, don't forget to go to GamesBeat. We're gonna start thinking about some of our end of the year stuff. We're not gonna be doing our game of the year until what week after we come back from the holidays. So
right, that'll be our game of the year. Yeah, exactly. But you could vote for the community game of the year starting right now. Look for that link. I'll probably make that like Bitly link for that as well. I'm Jeff Grubb on Twitter. Come hang out with me on there. Send me messages. Get in our Discord, discord.gg/GameMess. Mike,
I don't want to say anything about it yet because spoilers, but Final Fantasy Endwalker is fan-fucking-tastic so far. Man,
we'll talk about that more next week. All right, bye everybody. All right, bye everybody.